So, in what I would call dumb things to post on Twitter, Glen Schofield, who is, I believe, the game director of the Callisto protocol for is it for Private Division or is it for? Let me just double check here. I think it's Private Division. But anyway, he's the game director for Striking Distance Studios, the CEO, and the director Glen Schofield. Yeah. So he basically had a tweet that went along the lines of, and I'll read it right here. Mind the broken English. It's not me. It's what he tweeted on there. I only talk about the game during an event. We are working 6-7 days a week. Nobody's forcing us. Exhaustion, tired, COVID, but we're working. Bugs, glitches, perfect performance fixes. One last pass through audio. 12 to 15 hour days. This is gaming. Hard work. Lunch, dinner, working. You do it because you love it. Barring in mind that the English was fucking atrocious. Good lord. This caused a lot of controversy, especially with gaming journos who honestly on this I understand where crunch is still a thing in the gaming industry. I think in the majority of the game industry it's still a thing. And with it getting such bad publicity when it happens, and when articles come out about how bad crunch is in certain studios, like CDPR, this is a terrible look. Zero, what did you think about Glen Schofield and his tweet about crunching to death his studio? I don't know what.
Oh, it was a terrible look, and the worst part was it happened during Labor Day weekend in the U.S. And for anyone who knows the context of the Labor Day holiday, it's supposed to celebrate the everyman worker.
Yes.
So to basically just put this post out that glorified the hell out of crunch culture, it was just like, dude, this is not the time to glorify that sort of stuff. I mean, and sure, maybe everyone in your studio is passionate about it, but yeah, just the way that you're gallivanting about this, it just seems like you're glorifying and saying only real studios who care about their products will crunch themselves to death, and that's just not a good look right now, especially when you've got horrifying stories of like people at Rockstar doing 16 to 18 hour days because they see the boss still sitting at his desk and going, well, shit, we can't leave because the boss is still here, because if we leave, then the boss is going to think we're not pulling our own weight, and they're going to basically recommend us to be terminated or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely not a good look, but apparently Schofield actually walked his whole crunch post back by deleting it, then posting a updated apology, basically saying, anyone who knows me knows how passionate I am about the people I work with. Earlier, I tweeted how proud I was of the effort and hours my team was putting in. That was wrong. We value passion and creativity, not long hours. I'm sorry to the team for coming across like this. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of a half-assed apology, in my opinion.
Barely is. It's a PR apology. It's basically I have to do this in order to save face for my company, so we don't have another story in the next couple of days. I would suspect within a week we're going to see an article about crunch culture in the Callisto Protocol dev. Give it a week, maybe two. There's going to be either Bloomberg or Kotaku will have an article about it, and they are going to talk to sources and people that are not Glen Schofield in the studio to discuss what they're going through.
I would probably put my chips with Jason Schreier, because I believe he runs a anonymous encrypted mailbox for anyone who wants to email him like an anonymous tip and everything. So I would probably count it that Jason Schreier will probably get someone from the Striking Distance studios anonymously telling him, "Hey, yeah, so here's how bad the crunch is," and it's going to be a mortifying look. Right. I swear.
But this is also the problem with crunch in itself. Like, even I recognize, okay, as someone who used to work 12, 13-hour days, 6 days a week, and it pretty much destroyed my mentality after a certain point of time after that. When you work a certain amount of hours over what you usually should be, your performance lessens. It doesn't help things. Like, you get more bugs, you get more problems, you get more errors. Because you're so fucking tired and you're not paying much attention to what you're doing, that it doesn't help things in order to do that. However, the other issue is that now Callisto Protocol has a date as to which they have to hit in order to make their money. And I've heard some commentators say, just delay the game another 6 months. Who cares if you delay it? See, I agree with you on principle. However, what are getting people excited about the game is not only that it looks good, but from the people who developed Dead Space. Dead Space has a remake coming in January, and if that turns out to be really good, I can see that eating up the sales of Callisto Protocol. So you can all say, "Yo, just delay it. Who cares? Don't crunch. It's fine." And I understand why you say that, because you don't want these people to suffer any longer. I really get that. But delaying it means you need more money to actually do more of the work that you need to do. So you need to put more money down, which means you need to make more sales. If you delay it and the Dead Space sequel or the Dead Space remake does really well, I don't see anybody wanting to play Callisto Protocol after that, unless Callisto just blows it right out of the water, which is a possibility, but that's a risk. And honestly, these companies, especially a company like, what's the company's name? Striking Distance? They may not want to make that risk. So they probably want to get as much sales as possible. And as someone who looks at the finances and looks at the potential sales, the best time to release this is probably when they're released. Well, I would say it's October, but if it has to be December, then fine, do it December. That will probably be your best bet. Do it before Dead Space comes out. Because if you do it after, it's going to eat your sales. So, I hate saying this, Zero, but yes, I don't want them to crunch. It's terrible to do that. However, you also have to understand the financial implications of this, and if they delay it like 6 months to a year, that could potentially hurt their sales. So I don't know if that is something that they can do at this point. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, I mean it's something that's got a lot of shades of gray in this. Mm-hmm. It's not quite as black and white as most people would like to make it out to be. But yeah, it's going to be tough, especially, I mean, like you said, just if the Dead Space reboot in early 2023 ends up just blowing people's minds, just people might just go, Callisto Protocol who? So
I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think it will just eat up the sales, a good portion of the sales that Callisto Protocol would have had if they released first. I don't think here's what I think might happen in this. If you release it in December, you could have a big financial hit because people are excited for this game. If you release it in June, I think will become what I would say is a cult hit. Something that doesn't do a lot of sales, but has a lot of positive word of mouth. And then when it goes on sale, it starts selling. Okay. That I think could be what happens. You don't want that. You want to have the big sales. So you need it in December. So, yeah, I think no matter what, Dead Space is going to make the sales. Because Dead Space is a known quantity. And since the remake, people know what it is, and since they're doing different things in the Dead Space remake, they're going to look forward to that. They're going to buy it no matter what. Callisto Protocol isn't. And you can tell people this is from the people who made Dead Space. They don't care. They just want to look at, oh, does it look cool? Oh, it looks gory. It looks like, oh, cool, awesome. I guess I'll check that out. Oh, Dead Space isn't until next month? I'll get this then. That's what I think is how they're going to get all their sales. The other problem is, and let me also double back on crunch real quick. Crunch is something that shouldn't happen for multiple reasons, but I think a big reason why it shouldn't happen is you can schedule this so much better than most studios can do. Now, have I made a game? No. I'll be upfront with that. So if you don't want to believe me, fine. But anything that requires a team to get done, it takes good management and good scheduling to do it efficiently. This can be done without crunch. It just seems like these studios don't know how to manage their time and money. And all they do is they burn their cash. And then when they don't have cash, they either have to release the game as is, or they have to get more money in, which means they have to now guarantee a date at which they have to actually release so they can get as much sales as possible, which means a good portion of that time is going to be taken off from getting a vertical slice to show people, etc., etc., etc. You get what I'm saying. But these studios need to manage a lot better than they already are doing, because I agree with a lot of people. Crunch should not be a thing. It really shouldn't. And you should take the financial hit if you can't do it in the time that you said you were going to, and just delay it. But I also see with studios like this where they just can't do it. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say, really. Like, this crunch shouldn't be a thing anymore, but it is. It will continue to be as long as these people are getting rewarded for doing so, which, again, is another thing, which requires more gamers to care about development and how these games get made. And let's be honest, in entertainment, almost no one cares. So, I sorry to be so dour, but that's the truth.